Another celebrity death that has just taken place. And when I read about this, it's just so sad. Just so sad because this woman was so full of life and just someone you would look to and say, wow, she really has it going on. She's really just built an empire for herself. And with regards to her medical issues, she took matters into her own hands most of the time, and she lived a very long time after being diagnosed with breast cancer. Suzanne Somers, who most of us first fell in love with when she played Chrissy Snow on Three's Company, has passed away at the age of 76. Suzanne Marie Mahoney was born on October 16th of 1946 in San Bruno, California, just about 7 hours from where she would settle in Palm Springs. Suzanne did not have an easy childhood, as her father was not only an alcoholic but was abusive, causing her to do poorly in school. Then she married her first husband, Bruce Somers, when she was 19 and had her only child, Bruce Jr. Suzanne divorced Bruce in 1968, and after she began working on The Anniversary Game with host Alan Hamill, the two connected. Alan divorced his wife, and him and Suzanne have been married since 1977 and have been inseparable ever since. Suzanne had many minor roles, including The Rockford Files and American Graffiti, but it was her appearance on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson that led her to her iconic Three's Company role. Suzanne's pay rate has been talked about a lot recently due to Wheel of Fortune's Vanna White exposing her non-raises for many years. Suzanne started her Three's Company career making $3,500 per week. Then she began making $30,000 per episode, but she opened up and questioned why she wasn't making as much as John Ritter, who was making $150,000 per episode. And the difference between the two? He was a man and she was a woman. Have anything to do with anything? At that time, probably. Yeah. So her husband, Alan, did what any good husband would do, and he went into executives, asked for more money for his wife, Suzanne, and they came back with an additional $5,000 per episode. Suzanne said no, so she finished out the remainder of her contract, and Jenna Lee Harrison stepped in to replace Suzanne because it just wasn't working out. I mean, they cut her to, I think I read, about 60 seconds per episode. So they pushed her out for sure. The difference in pay is what is said to have caused tension between Suzanne and John Ritter, causing them to not speak for 20 years, but they did reconcile before John's passing in 2003. The financial dispute also put a wedge between Suzanne and her other co-star, Joyce DeWitt. She played Janet Wood, but the pair also were able to put everything aside on Suzanne's talk show in 2012. Suzanne went on to perform in Vegas and more TV shows and movies, but her resurgence happened again in the 90s when she became the spokesperson for a whole bunch of things on TV, and one of those things, the thing that blew up, the Thigh Master. It's actually still for sale, allegedly, in Walmart. I haven't seen it, but then again, I haven't looked for it, but you can still get your hands on a Thigh Master. And did you ever see Suzanne's thighs? Yeah. And she always said it worked. Now, I personally thought that Suzanne was the inventor of the Thigh Master, but Dr. Anne Marie Bernstrom, I wanted to make sure I said that correctly, was the inventor, and it was invented as a physical therapy tool, but she sold her V-Bar, as it was called. It wasn't called the Thigh Master. It was called the V-Bar to Josh Reynolds, and he was heir to the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. Then he tweaked the V-Bar. Suzanne demonstrated it, and her and Alan bought the rights to it and made in excess of $300 million from the original V-Bar, which transitioned to the Thigh Master. Suzanne continued to star in many different roles, and in 2001 was diagnosed with breast cancer and became known for her alternative methods of dealing with the disease. Suzanne definitely kept herself relevant throughout her entire career, from selling Christmas cards door to door way back in the beginning, to being the most starstruck when she met Frank Sinatra, to being madly in love with her husband Alan. Suzanne will be looked upon as having a positive outlook on life and as a woman who stood her ground and paved an amazing career for herself. Rest in peace Suzanne, and lots of love going out to Alan, Bruce Jr., and their entire family.